Tonight's meditation, at least the beginning of the service, we're going to do Sa-ta-na-ma. That's Sa-ta-na-ma. And you do it both hands, Sa-ta-na-ma. Each time you close a mudra, and that's doing this, by joining the thumb with the finger, your ego seals the effect in your consciousness. Visualize or feel each individual sound come in the crown chakra at the top of the head, down through the middle of the head, and out to infinity, through the third eye. This is very important and must be done with each sound. It is an essential part of the cleansing process. So Sa is the beginning, infinity. Ta is life, existence. Na is death, change, and the transformation of consciousness. Ma is rebirth, regeneration, and resurrection. Sa-ta-na-ma, 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 Nama Satha 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 Nama Satha
Good evening, everyone. Let's begin with an insightful ideal shared in A Course in Miracles. You can read this in the Course in Miracles text, page 66. That's the old text. The new edition is page 72. Most of you have the new edition, page 72. To heal is to make happy. I have told you to think how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourself and how many you have refused. This is the same as telling you that you have refused to heal yourself. The light that belongs to you is the light of joy. Radiance is not associated with sorrow. Joy calls forth an integrated willingness to share it and promotes the mind's natural impulse to respond as one. Those who attempt to heal without being wholly joyous themselves call forth different kinds of responses at the same time and thus deprive others of the joy of responding wholeheartedly. There's a number of salient points in this particular passage that are carried on throughout A Course in Miracles. To heal is to make happy. I have told you to think how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourself and how many you have refused. This is the same as telling you that you have refused to heal yourself. The light that belongs to you is the light of joy. Radiance is not associated with sorrow. Joy calls forth an integrated willingness to share it and promotes the mind's natural impulse to respond as one. Thus, that point there, it inspires the mind natural impulse to respond as one, which is, of course, a reference to transcending the duality that the everyday, mundane mind actually exists in. And it's saying here that the natural impulse of the mind is to enter into the awareness of the interconnectedness of everything. And that is where you will find joy. Those who attempt to heal without being wholly joyous themselves call forth different kinds of responses at the same time, and thus deprive others of the joy of responding wholeheartedly. And this concept, deprive others of the joy of responding wholeheartedly. This is giving to us another concept that A Course in Miracles actually dwells on throughout the entire text, workbook, and handbook for teachers. Now I'll share with you the second paragraph. What is actually saying is that there needs to be a transformation in mind, which leads to a whole new level of awareness in which joy is experienced. And we'll go on in the second paragraph. To be wholehearted, you must be happy. I'm not so sure it'll go into this, but if you are wholehearted, living in the awareness of wholehearted consciousness, you will be happy. But not very many people are there. And so it takes a certain shift in the thinking to get people to find their true happiness and joy. If fear and love cannot coexist, and if it is impossible to be wholly fearful and remain alive, the only possible state is that of love. There is no difference between love and joy. Therefore, the only possible whole state is the wholly joyous. To heal or to make joyous is therefore the same as to integrate and to make one. It's a very clear point. To heal and make joyous is the very same as to integrate and to make one. Make the mind recognize its interconnectedness with everything. So instead of living in the consciousness of isolation, separation, which generates fear, it's saying there needs to be a transformation in the mind that actually promotes the awareness of oneness. And in that comes the realization of love, joy, peace, and understanding. There's a story told, and I think it's a good story for unity, most unities anyway. Speaks about Native American people. They had this tribe that the area that they were living in, the game was leaving the area. They didn't have enough game to live. And there was no water, and the rains had not come for a long time. So the chief sent 2 scouts out to see if they could find an area where the tribe might survive a little better. And the scouts went out and came back in a couple of days, and one said, our only choice would be to move further into these foothills, into the forest, but then we still will not have the water we need. We will have a little more game, but we probably will not have the buffalo return. And the other scout came back and said, I traveled west as far as I could go to try to get around this mountain range so that maybe there's something that we could find that would be suitable to offer us an area for our dwellings, more game, and possibly some water. But I found none. And so the medicine man spoke up and said, our tribe must climb this mountain. And if they climb this mountain, they will see from the very top of this mountain an area below that has a river running that is beautiful and that has forests and all kinds of game and even an open plains where the buffalo can return. It has everything. But they will have to climb this mountain. And so the chief understood what was being said. He would have to convince the people to have faith in what the medicine man had said, because no one had seen it. The medicine man only said it existed because he had this dream from the great consciousness that showed him this. So they would journey, make this arduous, difficult journey up this mountain and beyond, and they would have to do it on faith. And the other day at a talk, I don't remember exactly which one, I think it was last Sunday, I said, have you noticed that in our society we have slowly and are slowly diminishing our ability to feel for others? And so it doesn't seem to be a great problem when we think about that, because our society is so egocentric that most people are just thinking about their own personal well-being, and if they can just get by a little better, in fact, increase their lot in life, then things will be well. And they'll take whatever time is necessary to help others, perhaps. But you see, the feeling, to feel. I don't watch a lot of television, maybe 4 or 5 hours a night. No, I'm joking. I don't watch a lot of television, and I certainly don't watch news. I do watch movies, and I will watch sporting events when it is the very best against the very best. But I don't watch the news. Unfortunately, though, when driving down, I have a radio station on that plays music, and they also segue into short sections of news. I don't bother trying to change the station. But coming down to the church yesterday, I was reminded, because of their news break, of the plight of the Palestinian people in Gaza. And it was delivered in such a way that it presented the most impossible way to any resolution. On the one hand, it is now understood that starvation is taking place in that area. People are dying from starvation. And there's 700 trucks loaded with supplies and food that's being held up by the Israeli government. And then there's this discussion. So I'm trying to avoid news like that, because my heart really goes out to those people. What a horrible, horrible, horrible situation it is. And I still feel for those people. I don't know of their culture at all. But these trucks are being held up because, according to the Israeli government, the food is being hijacked. When they bring it in, it's being hijacked by Hamas, the enemy, that Israel is attempting to wipe out. And they say they hijack this food, they sell it on the market, they use the money to recruit new members for Hamas. And so they have to be really concerned about how they allow this food to go in, because it too often winds up feeding the enemy and improving their lot, their ability. So you see the impossible situation there that creates this most incredible suffering. But again, if joy is the key to our enlightened living, then somehow or other we must enter a higher state of awareness. We have to have the faith to look beyond the thinking and the activities of a world that can only be declared as insane. In other words, the human element that populates the world, operating in the initial state of consciousness, which is the illusion of being separate bodies in world of separate others, in that consciousness, there is no resolution. There is no joy. There is no coming to an understanding amongst these people. Because what would be an understanding to one group of people will not be an understanding to another group of people who think differently and live differently and have different ideals. And certainly will not be of any meaning to organizations like Hamas. That organization exists in such an illusionary separation and isolation that only fear, terror, and death is their quest. So it is necessary for us to transcend the thinking of the world completely. But to do it, it's not going to be easy. It's like that mountain that the native people have to climb. It takes faith because we have all been part of, for a long time, the thinking of the world. It has always seemed to us in that thinking that there are bad people and wrong people and people who are trying to manipulate me and get over on me, and they deserve to be responded in like manner. They deserve some kind of punishment. And so in that consciousness of the initial state of awareness in which we grew up believing ourselves to be separate bodies in a world of separate others, it is not easy for us to listen to the kinds of things that A Course in Miracles presents and says to us, you can enter the kingdom of God now, and you can experience joy now, and you can experience the peace that surpasses the understanding of the world now. That peace would have to pass the understanding of the world because, again, the world demonstrates, it is a confession that the human race in its natural initial state is insane. And I hardly touch upon that idea. I leave it to Eckhart Tolle, who goes through it over and over again in his books. And he does a masterful job of pointing out the insanity of humanity and all the deaths, the unnecessary death that takes place in that insanity. But is there a path out? Is there a path to the consciousness of God? And because we are so removed now from the ideals that come with living in faith, that it seems to us there may not be a universal intelligence, a universal creator. Maybe we are, in fact, on our own, and therefore I have to be very defensive and very careful and very, very suspect of what is taking place around me. So we would possibly revert back to fear. The masters down through the ages speak to this. This particular parable is written in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 36 to 39. No one tears a piece from a new garment and puts it upon an old garment. If he does, he will tear the new, and the piece from the new will not match the old, but will tear away. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the new wine will burst the skins, and it will be spilled, and the skins will be destroyed. But new wine must be put into fresh wineskins, and no one after drinking new wine no one after drinking old wine desires the new. Listen to this line. 2,000 years ago it was written. Listen to this next line. No one drinking old wine desires new, for he says, the old is good enough. And so, here we are. Will we attempt the climb? Will we attempt to take to task our own awareness on faith that there is a better way to be alive, and it requires a transformation in the way we perceive ourselves in life? Are we up to the task of it? But this I will say, I'm not speaking to you, and I haven't spoken to you from strictly academic teachings. I haven't spoken to you strictly from academic teachings for years and years and decades. Because way over 35 years ago, I looked into the teachings of Edgar Cayce, and I said, if it is possible for this human being to do the impossible and to heal the way he heals, and that there is a source that comes through this man that speaks things that this man himself could never have known or learned, and this source proves itself in the healing of so many others, then what this source is saying each human being should do, I took upon myself to do. And it became the priority for my life long before I entered the ministry. And so I am witnessing to you about this other level of consciousness that exists just on the other side of the mountain that each of us has to climb by faith. And faith is defined as the substance of things not seen. So it is. That is everyone's calling who is in search of the life truly worth living, the enlightened life. So let us look at what it is saying here in the beginning. To heal is to make happy. I have told you how often you have had opportunities to gladden yourself, and you didn't. You refused. Because the calling is to recognize the miracle and the majesty of life itself. which would have to be recognized beyond the ego-centered concept of being a separate body-mind, whose self-interests must always be defended. So, to get there, it is telling us that we have to live wholeheartedly. Let me share this with you from the master who I have always quoted, because he's a modern-day master. And this is Eckhart Tolle. What is he attempting to relate to us with messages like this from Stillness Speaks? Whenever you become aware of yourself, living for the next moment, you have already stepped out of the egoic mind pattern, and the possibility of choosing to give your full attention to this moment arises simultaneously. By giving full attention to this moment, an intelligence far greater than the egoic mind enters your life. So what he is saying matches this concept of living wholeheartedly. Can you see how, if one were to take on the amazing task of practicing living strictly in the now awareness? Yes, you would have, casual secondary ideas about perhaps some plans for the future and things like that, but they would not be that which is occupying your mind in the moment. Here's what would happen if you started to trust life so totally as to become wholeheartedly involved in the now moment, that you put aside what the ego is always doing, having guilt from the past for living outside of the beauty and honor of wholeness, and its concerns and fears for the future, for it's always attempting to manipulate and contemplate and figure out how to make the future serve this ego-centered idea of me better. If you were to begin to just put that aside and live wholeheartedly in the moment, as to look to see what the moment really is asking, to become appropriate would be to master your inclinations to be separate, and to practice being aware in the moment and catching yourself, which is the first part of it, catching yourself when you are living for something you're hoping will happen in the future, or fearing something that will happen in the future before it even arrives, or living guilty for the things you've done in the past. And so, as long as you're living there, your now moment is destroyed. You see, when you leave here tonight and you go home, and you may decide, I don't know, I think I prefer something less pointed to get involved with. So you could seek out other churches who are very willing to share with you sweet nothings. And so you will not be troubled, but you will go on to have enough difficulties, challenges, concerns, and fears, and finally, you will see that the thinking of the world fails ultimately to bring about wholeness, happiness, peace, love, joy, health, wisdom, truth, and honor. But that's the choice. And it's a choice that you make. It's a choice people make every day. The choice people make on Wednesdays and choice people make on Sundays. And it goes along with what was said 2,000 years ago so perfectly. You know what? Even though there's new wine to be had, there will be those who say, the old wine is good enough. So, and there are people, I suspect, and I've met lots of them along the way, who hope that it can be done in a flash, if they could only get to an enlightened guru in Tibet, perhaps, who would lay his or her hands on them, and then they would have it. But that's just like the story I tell about the retreat. We used to participate in what was known as the Snow Mountain Retreat, which took place in Snow Mountain here in Colorado. And it went on for a week. And people at that retreat had the opportunities to have many discussion groups, meditations, and lectures, spiritual lectures. And it was really good, well planned out retreat. The problem that arose came after the retreat. You see, in the retreat, every particular kind of group would ultimately have the people in their group individually sit in the middle, and then the people in the group would say what they perceive are their good points, their talents, their abilities, and how really wonderful they appear to be. Well, of course, everybody's there for a week. And the problem with a retreat like that is everybody's on his or her best behavior. So everybody goes home and see, they all get high. And yet the calling is that you should be on your best behavior. But they get back into the society, and I've met them, and they talk to me, and they say, well, I don't know what's going to happen, because I just get back, and then I just meet all these a-holes, and it just goes crazy. You know, I don't understand who these people are coming from on my job. Oh, are you kidding me? On this and that and this and that. So they came back, and what the retreat did was it only disillusioned them further. They didn't know that climbing the mountain requires being in conscious best behavior, even though conditions and circumstances around you may not be going along with it. It takes a while for you to transcend the limitations that you perceive around you. But the way to do it is to continue to meditate. I assure you, if you never came to another Unity lecture, and you never went to a retreat, spiritual retreat, or anything like that, and you never read another spiritual book, if you would take time every day to sit and be quiet, and just quiet your mind, and open yourself up to feel your way toward what it means to be truly alive. What would be required to be truly alive? If you do that, just meditate every day and ask what it would mean to be truly alive. You eventually will come to the truth that will make you free. So, I'm very quickly going to conclude this. I know the lady with the bowl is here. Okay. People think that I'm married to her, but I don't even know who she is. I'm liable to get hit with that stick. I'm going to share a few things with you. This is wholehearted doing yoga. If you're interested, whatever needs your attention, give your wholehearted attention to it. Don't be off somewhere thinking, I shouldn't have to do this or I shouldn't want to do this. Why isn't somebody else doing this? If something needs to be done, do it wholeheartedly. Whatever needs doing, do it wholeheartedly. Your work, whatever it is you do it wholeheartedly, better than you've ever done it before. Don't slough, just do it wholeheartedly as though you're doing it for God. And you are. When you have free time, relax wholeheartedly, play wholeheartedly, or play wholeheartedly with your children, or play wholeheartedly with your pet, or hang out wholeheartedly with your friends. Don't be off somewhere away from the moment in which you find yourself. So now we're going to meditate together. Begin by taking several deep breaths. As you release the breath, release any particular cares or concerns you may be harboring. And just breathing, breathe your way into this moment. Just allow yourself to be okay now, sitting here in this peaceful place, wanting nothing more than this peace, not fearing, not judging, not evaluating, just allowing this moment, this quiet moment, to be okay. And you can bring this mantra gently to mind so that it will relax the mundane thinking. Don't try to erase your thoughts. Let them come, let them go. Just gently give your mind to this particular mantra. There is only one everything. Only one. In you, in me, in everything we see, there is only one. Only one. There is only one everything. In you and me, in everything we see, there is only one. One life waiting to be acknowledged. There is only one everything. In you, in me, in everything we see, there is only one life waiting to be acknowledged, opening the way to peace, love, and healing. In this refined level of awareness, we will offer the names of those that have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls each name, just sustain this feeling of oneness, this peace within yourself, for we are, in fact, all connected.
Elizabeth B. John S. Jim W. Elizabeth B. Jessica W. Laura Hanson Beard. Chris, the Link family. Orion and Jess. Tyler. Andrew M. Ted M. John H. Anne Marie. Rachel and Ron. Stephanie Morphy. President Trump. Winnie. Kaylee. Matt. Brock. Kathy. Michael. Addie. Rebecca. Jimmy Mack. Nick. Sal. Celeste. Carol. Ruth. Lisa. Michelle. Women. Migrants. Friends and family. LGBTQ community. Minorities. Poor in spirit. Poor in finances. Robin. Mark. Thomas and Pete and family. Bob Larson. Rianne Larson. Annie. Jackson. Riley. Shane. Kristen. Barbara. Aaron. Jason. Madison. Bridger. Jay. Sarah. Elowen. Joey Thaylander. Brittany Bayou, and Phoenix. And you can call out a name at this time if you'd like to do so.
D. Matthew and family. Sandy Spahn. Dan Spahn. S. Casey and family. S. Daniel and family.
You see this healing light surrounding the prayer box and all the people whose names have been submitted throughout the month. We see them healed physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Let us take a moment now to embrace the vision of the new heaven and earth established through the consciousness of humanity. This divine consciousness rising in the awareness of everyone sharing the Boulder community with us. And it's spreading and rising in the awareness of everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us. And this divine consciousness rising in the awareness of everyone sharing these United States of America with us. And it sharing and moving throughout all the experiences in every nation, in every culture, in every race, to establish a harmony in human relationships through an understanding of our interconnectedness. And we see this occurring in such a way as to restore the pristine majesty and relationship of humanity with all the creatures on planet Earth. And all of the green things and vegetation on planet Earth. As we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. Those of you that are watching online, watching on a screen, I would suggest that if you're tuning in to get the concepts and insights here at Unity of Boulder in order to improve your life, then it would be well for you to send a tithe in, support Unity of Boulder, and make yourself a part of the divine spirit that is related here. And there, as we can take into our hands those gifts we'd like to make to Unity, and let's bless them with this offering statement. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen. We have tea and refreshments for those of you who'd like to stay and chat through these doors to your left into the bookstore. We don't have anything particular taking place this week.
No.
All right. On Sunday, Santisha will be in the pulpit on Sunday at 11 o'clock, and you and I will be at the 9 a.m. service. To everyone, have a beautiful, enlightened evening.